The rain was light, but steady, the kind of drizzle that made the city lights blur like a watercolor painting. From the kitchen window, Noah watched the droplets race down the glass, a mug of tea clutched in both hands. He didn't hear Eli come in at first. He never did. Somehow, even with those heavy boots and all that chaotic energy, Eli could move like a ghost when he wanted. "You're doing that thing again," Eli said, voice still thick from sleep. Noah blinked. "What thing?" "Staring out like you're in a tragic indie film." "You good?" He didn't look over. "Yeah, just thinking." That made Eli step closer. "About what?" "You." "Us." "How close we used to be, and how close we still are, and how I don't know what to do with that." But Noah only smiled softly and shook his head. "Nothing important." Eli stood beside him now, the scent of his body wash and leather jacket hitting all at once. Familiar. Dangerous. "You've been weird lately," Eli murmured. "So have you." Eli smirked, leaning on the counter. "Yeah, but I'm always weird. Yours is a new kind of weird." Noah met his gaze for just a second, then looked away. "I guess I've just been thinking a lot. About the past." That made Eli go quiet. Their past was messy in its own way. Movie nights on the floor. Midnight phone calls when Eli's mom didn't come home. The kiss in the attic during a game of truth or dare that they both pretended never happened. "I still remember that night in the attic," Eli said suddenly. Noah's heart stuttered. "I think about it more than I should," Eli added, voice low now, like a confession. "Is that crazy?" Noah turned to look at him. "Really look." "No," he whispered. "It's not." The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was something else. Something heavy with meaning. Eli leaned just slightly forward, not touching, but close. Too close. Noah's breath caught. "I should go shower," Eli said, but he didn't move. Noah reached out, just barely, and let his fingers graze Eli's wrist. Eli froze. "I remember it too," Noah said. "All the time." Their eyes locked, and for the first time in years, the things they never said started to matter. Later that night, Noah lay on the couch, a book open on his chest, but he hadn't turned a page in over 30 minutes. The sound of Eli's shower had long faded. The house was still again, just the hum of the fridge and the occasional creak of old floorboards. Familiar sounds. Safe sounds. Then came the soft footfalls. Eli, fresh from the shower, hair still damp and curling slightly at the ends, walked in wearing nothing but a pair of sweats that hung dangerously low on his hips. Noah's gaze flickered up, and immediately back down. "Still pretending to read that?" Eli asked, voice teasing. "It's called multitasking," Noah replied. "Thinking about the book. Thinking about life." Eli dropped onto the couch beside him, close enough that their legs brushed. "Thinking about me?" Noah's laugh was soft, but didn't deny it. Eli reached over, plucked the book from his chest, and set it on the coffee table. "You want to talk about it?" he asked. Noah turned to face him slowly. "Talk about what?" Eli didn't smile this time. "That thing between us. The way you look at me like you're scared to breathe near me. The attic. That kiss." Noah's throat tightened. "It was just a game." "Yeah," Eli said, "but it didn't feel like one." Silence. Then Noah whispered, "What if it wasn't a game to me?" Eli stilled. "I spent years convincing myself it didn't mean anything," Noah continued. "But it did, and I didn't know how to bring it up without breaking something." Eli's expression softened. "You're not breaking anything, Noah. You're just naming it." Noah blinked. "And what if naming it ruins us?" Eli reached for his hand, fingers lacing through his gently. "I think not naming it is what's killing us." Noah didn't know what to say to that. He just sat there, breathing in the warmth of Eli's palm, the way his thumb slowly brushed over his knuckles like a quiet promise. The tension hung between them, tender, aching, and impossibly sweet. And when Noah finally leaned his head on Eli's shoulder, Eli didn't move away. He just whispered, "Took you long enough. The next morning, everything was normal, and not. Eli was in the kitchen, wearing Noah's oversized hoodie like it belonged to him, humming as he made coffee. The smell filled the apartment, grounding and warm. Sunlight spilled through the window, dancing across Eli's face, catching in the strands of his still messy hair. Noah leaned in the doorway and watched. He'd watched Eli 1,000 times before, but now every movement felt charged. The memory of their joined hands, of how easily Eli had held him the night before, clung to him like the warmth of a dream. "You always stare like that?" Eli said without turning around. "Only when I'm trying to memorize something," Noah replied. Eli glanced over his shoulder. "And what are you memorizing now?" "How to survive this level of domestic intimacy without combusting." Eli barked a laugh and handed him a mug. "Here. Caffeine might help." They stood there in silence for a beat, sipping side by side. Their shoulders brushed. Not by accident. Eli's pinky grazed Noah's. A whisper of a touch. Then the doorbell rang. Noah flinched slightly, the spell breaking. He opened the door to find Jamie, their mutual friend, grinning like a devil with gossip. "I brought brunch," Jamie announced, waltzing in uninvited. Noah and Eli exchanged a glance. "You two look cozy," Jamie said with a smirk, eyes bouncing between them. "Anything I should know?" "Nah," Eli said smoothly, throwing an arm casually around Noah's shoulder. "Just best friends, as always." Noah smiled, but something in his chest twisted. That night, Noah stood in front of his bedroom mirror, brushing his teeth, replaying Eli's words. Just best friends. It shouldn't hurt. But it did. A knock on his door. Eli again, hoodie sleeves pushed to his elbows, looking awkward. "I didn't mean to make it weird earlier." "You didn't," Noah said, lying. Eli stepped closer. "But I did, and I hate when you shut down." Noah's shoulders dropped. "It's just confusing. When you touch me like that, say things, and then—" Eli's gaze searched his. "You think I'm playing with you. I think I'm not strong enough if you are." That landed heavy between them. Then Eli moved. He stepped close, too close, and cupped the side of Noah's neck. His thumb brushed the line of his jaw. "Noah," he said. Voice barely above a breath. "I'm not playing." Noah's heart pounded. Eli leaned in and stopped, lips barely a breath from his. "Can I?" Eli asked. Noah nodded. The kiss was soft. Careful. The kind that asks permission over and over again. But the second their lips truly met, need crack through it like lightning. Noah's hands gripped Eli's hoodie, pulling him closer. Eli tasted like coffee, and something Noah would never be able to forget. They didn't go any further than that, but as they pulled apart, foreheads resting together, Eli whispered, "Tell me this isn't just a maybe." Noah smiled, breathless. "It's a yes." It wasn't supposed to change everything, but it did. The morning after the kiss, things between Noah and Eli were softer, like something had cracked open between them and was now letting the light in. There were more lingering touches, like Eli's hand brushing Noah's lower back as he passed behind him in the kitchen, or the way Noah's fingers casually found Eli's thigh under the table while they watched a movie, both pretending not to notice, neither pulling away. But they didn't talk about it. Not out loud. One evening, rain drummed softly against the windows. Eli was curled up on the couch with his head resting on Noah's lap, scrolling through his phone while Noah absently played with his hair. Eli tilted his head up to look at him. "You ever think about what it would have been like if we'd figured this out earlier?" Noah hesitated. "Yeah, but maybe we weren't ready then." Eli nodded, but there was a flicker of something in his eyes. "Regret, maybe." "I used to think you'd never see me like that," Eli admitted. "You always looked at everyone else." "I looked at you first," Noah said quietly. "I just didn't let myself want it." That made Eli still. And then, "You want it now?" Noah leaned down, their foreheads brushing. More than anything, the kiss that followed wasn't like the last one. It was deeper, hungrier. A slow build of all the years of tension and longing wrapped into a single, desperate moment. Noah's hand slipped under Eli's shirt, feeling warm skin and the thrum of a heartbeat that matched his own. Eli gasped into his mouth and pulled him closer, fingers threading into his hair, tugging gently. They ended up tangled on the couch, breathless and flushed. Eli's shirt was half off. Noah's hoodie was on the floor. The world was spinning fast, but it felt like the only thing real was each other. When they finally paused, foreheads pressed together, hearts racing, Eli whispered, "We should probably talk about this." "Probably," Noah murmured, trailing his fingers down Eli's side. "Later." Eli smiled, eyes fluttering shut. "Yeah, later." Noah hadn't expected it to bother him. They weren't officially anything, after all. No labels. No declarations. Just kisses that lingered, fingers that wandered, and nights that blurred the lines. But when he walked into the bookstore one afternoon and saw Eli laughing with someone else, someone unfamiliar, tall, stylish, clearly flirting, it did something to him. Something dark, tight, uncomfortable. He stood there for a second too long, watching the way Eli grinned, the way his eyes sparkled with that soft familiarity. And Noah hated that it wasn't meant for him in that moment. When Eli finally looked up and spotted him, the shift was immediate. His smile softened. His body subtly leaned away from the stranger. "Noah," Eli called, waving him over. "This is Jordan. He's, just someone I bumped into from uni." Noah gave a tight nod, eyes unreadable. "Hey." Jordan said something polite, but Noah wasn't really listening. His gaze was on Eli. They walked home in silence afterward, both of them acutely aware of the tension hanging between them. "You're mad," Eli said finally, his voice gentle. "I'm not. You are. I just didn't like how he was looking at you." Eli stopped walking. "Noah." Noah turned to him, jaw tight. "Are we doing this or not?" Eli blinked. "Doing what?" "This." Noah gestured between them. "Whatever this is. Because I need to know if I'm just a placeholder for lonely nights or—" "Stop." Eli stepped in, closing the space between them. "You're not a placeholder. You're the one person I've always wanted." Noah's breath caught. "I didn't flirt back," Eli added, softer. "I didn't want to. I was waiting for you to say something." The silence between them trembled. Then Noah reached out, cupped Eli's cheek, and leaned in. The kiss was slow this time. Not heated, not rushed, just honest. And when they pulled back, Eli whispered, "I want this. I want you." "Good," Noah said. "Because I'm not going anywhere. It started with a movie." Eli had fallen asleep halfway through, curled up against Noah's side on the couch. His breath was slow and warm against Noah's neck, one hand tucked beneath Noah's hoodie, like it belonged there. Noah didn't move, didn't even breathe too hard. He just stayed. Let himself pretend this was already their life. But eventually, Eli stirred, blinking up at him with that sleepy half-smile. "Did I drool on you?" "A little. Sorry." "Don't be." There was a beat of silence, their eyes meeting in the low flicker of the TV screen. And then Eli whispered, "Can I stay over?" Noah's breath caught. "Yeah." Of course. They didn't speak much after that, just moved. Like it had always been meant to happen. Like all those years of almost and what-ifs had been leading here. Clothes came off slowly, tentatively. Eli's hands trembled when they touched skin. Noah kissed his forehead, his cheeks, his mouth, soft, reverent, like worship. "This okay?" he whispered more than once. Eli always answered the same way. "Only with you." They made love on clean sheets under soft light. It wasn't perfect. Too much emotion, too many nerves. But it was theirs. Raw, vulnerable, real. Afterward, Eli rested his head on Noah's chest, their legs tangled, skin still warm from where they'd pressed so close. "I think I've loved you since we were 16, Eli whispered. Noah didn't say anything at first. He just kissed the top of Eli's head and held him tighter. Then, finally, same. The morning after was warm and golden. Eli woke first, stretching into the sunlight that bled through Noah's curtains. He watched Noah sleep for a while, taking in every freckle, every line of softness he'd memorized over the years, but never allowed himself to touch, until now. Noah stirred eventually, blinking up at him. "You're staring." "Yeah." "Get used to it." They kissed again, soft and lazy, and everything felt easy until Noah's phone buzzed. Group chat. "Lena, did you two finally make out, or what?" "Jordan, Eli was wearing Noah's hoodie this morning." "I rest my case." Lena again. "Pics or it didn't happen." Eli turned pink. Oh my God, they know. They've always known. Noah kissed him again, grinning. We weren't subtle. They went to their usual coffee shop that afternoon. It was the first time they held hands in public. The barista raised an eyebrow. "Took you long enough." "Wait," Eli said, blinking. "You too?" "Oh, honey." The barista laughed, handing them their drinks. "I've had a bet going with half the street." They sat by the window, hands still linked, faces pink with embarrassment and joy. It was terrifying and perfect all at once. But later that evening, Eli's smile faltered. He stood in Noah's doorway, holding his overnight bag, eyes shadowed. "I'm scared," he admitted. "What if this ruins everything?" Noah stepped close, holding his waist. "Do we rebuild it?" "But I'm not pretending anymore, Eli." "I can't." Eli stared up at him for a long, quiet second. Then nodded. "Okay." And that night, when they kissed again, it wasn't just sweet. It was anchored. Because this time, they weren't hiding. They were choosing each other, out loud. It was late. Too late. Eli sat on the couch, arms crossed, scrolling through his phone with a little too much aggression. The soft jazz playing in the background didn't help. Neither did the fact that Noah was an hour late. When the door finally creaked open, Noah stepped in, face apologetic. "I'm sorry. The meeting ran long, and I grabbed dinner with my team. You texted me that you were 5 minutes away. 40 minutes ago." Noah sighed. "I didn't think." "No, you didn't," Eli snapped, surprising them both. "And this keeps happening, Noah, ever since your promotion." "Don't make this about that," Noah said sharply. "I've always been this busy. You just didn't care before." "I did care. I just didn't have the right to say anything." The room fell into a heavy silence. Noah dropped his keys onto the counter. "So now that we're together, you get to control everything?" Eli blinked. "That's not what I meant." "Well, maybe if you actually told me what you do mean instead of bottling it up." "I am telling you." Eli's voice cracked, hands trembling. "I just want to feel like I matter. Like I'm not a side project you visit when it's convenient." That stung. Noah's anger softened into guilt. He stepped closer, slower now. "You matter. More than anything." His voice was quiet. "But I'm still learning how to balance this." "Us." Eli folded into the couch, burying his face in his hands. "I'm just scared that now that you've got everything else, you'll realize you don't need me anymore." Noah sat beside him, took his hand. "I don't need a promotion or a title. I need you," he whispered. Then, gently, "Let me try again." Eli looked up, eyes wet. "Okay." That night, they didn't have sex. But they curled up in bed, wrapped in each other, and kissed until the tension unraveled. Sometimes love was messy, but it was real. And they were still choosing it. The car ride was quiet, but not uncomfortable. Just soft. Still healing. Eli rested his forehead against the window, watching green roll past as they headed toward the coast. The scent of sea salt slowly edged its way in, familiar and soothing. "When's the last time we were here?" Noah asked, one hand on the wheel, the other resting on the center console, just brushing against Eli's. Eli smiled faintly. "Middle school. You dragged me into the ocean fully clothed. You called me a menace for a week. You were a menace They both chuckled, and for the first time in days, the air between them felt light again. When they arrived, the beach was nearly empty. Just a few scattered families, the sun hanging low, golden over the water. They kicked off their shoes and walked barefoot along the shore, side by side, fingers brushing but not yet laced. "Back then," Noah murmured, "I used to wish we could just stay here forever." Eli looked over. "You never told me that." "You never asked." Noah's voice was low, and I never thought I deserved it. They sat on a weathered driftwood log, the waves licking the shore in gentle rhythm. Eli leaned into Noah's shoulder. "We were stupid kids, dreaming up escape plans." "Yeah," Noah whispered. But some part of me meant it. The wind tugged gently at Eli's curls. "Do you still want that? A place like this? Away from everything?" Noah turned, eyes steady. "Not without you." Eli reached up and touched his cheek, a smile blooming slowly. "Good, because I'm not letting you escape without me." Their kiss came then, soft at first, tasting of salt and sun and second chances. But when they got back to the little cabin they rented for the night, it turned deeper, clothes left in a slow trail behind them, touches more reverent than rushed. It was the kind of intimacy that didn't just spark lust, but trust. A recommitment to the fragile, precious thing they were building together. They returned to the city with sand in their shoes and peace in their hearts. It wasn't dramatic. There was no fanfare, no declarations shouted from rooftops. But everything was different now. Eli unlocked the apartment door, glancing behind him as Noah stepped inside with his overnight bag slung over one shoulder. "You don't have to crash here, you know," Eli said with a raised eyebrow. "You could just stay." Noah stilled. His fingers tightened around the strap. "You mean it?" Eli shrugged one shoulder, casually, too casually. "I mean, you already take up half my closet space. Might as well make it official." A beat. Then Noah dropped the bag and crossed the room in 2 strides, cupping Eli's face with both hands and kissing him breathless. "I want to wake up next to you every morning," he murmured. "I want all the boring stuff. Laundry days, grocery runs, your stupid alarm that goes off 3 times. Eli laughed, flushed. "You forgot me stealing all the blankets." "I'll allow it," Noah said, wrapping him in his arms. They spent the evening unpacking and rearranging. Noah's books stacked beside Eli's, mugs mismatched but perfectly theirs. In the quiet lull of midnight, they lay tangled together on the couch, half covered in a blanket, the glow of the TV casting soft shadows over them. "I never thought it'd be this simple," Eli whispered. "What?" "Loving you." Noah turned, brushing their noses together. "That's the point. It is simple. It's everything else that made it hard." Eli smiled, tired and full. "Let's keep it simple. Just us. Always." Their fingers laced together. The city hummed quietly outside, but inside that apartment, in the quiet intimacy of shared space and long-held love, Noah and Eli had found something neither of them had dared hope for: home.